Thank you, sir. Mr. President, I appreciate it, and I'd like to take this opportunity, as we have been doing over the last 4 or 5 years, and recognizing our employees that hit a milestone in terms of years of service, and we have 2 really long-time employees here, and that's a great thing. I'd like to call up Jeff Hamilton first. Jeff, come up. Jeff's a Park Patrol officer with us and has been here 30 years. Began his career in the Park and Recreation Department. Jeff, thank you for coming. As a lifeguard, looks like he'd still be a lifeguard, doesn't he? He's still fit and ready to go. In '97, he was promoted to patrol park officer and moved into the police department. And he's responsible for patrolling all of our city parks, opening and closing our ball fields, locking and unlocking all of our city facilities. And, you know, the other thing about our park patrol officers, they're great ambassadors for us. They meet a lot of folks, not just our own citizens, from people all over the country, don't you, that are visiting. And so they're some of the first people that they actually come into contact with. But when you talk to his supervisors, he is described as one of the most responsible individuals that I've ever worked with. And so we appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you for staying here for so long and doing what you do. We've got a big park system. It's very important. It's a very important part of our citizens' lives. And for them to know that it's safe and well taken care of and patrolled means a great deal to everyone. So thank you very much for your 30 years of service. And I would like to ask Robin Griffin to come up. Robin is here. Where's Robin? She's here with her husband, Julius. Come up as well, Julius, if you like. You like or don't like? Just stand right in the front there. 35 years. Goodness gracious. I mean, the city's only. So, Robin started a long time ago, and gosh, what a great lady she is. Well, I consider her a good friend of mine. We go back a long way. She served our citizens down in the courts for 35 years, really when it was just a little small Mayberry. I mean, really and truly, when we go back that long ago, it was a small operation, wasn't it? But it's grown into quite an operation, and she's been part of that growth and developed it and helped it to develop in what we really have one of the most prestigious court systems in the state of Alabama. People call us and ask us how to do things, and she's part of that, been part of building that growth, and we're grateful for that. But Robin began her career as a court magistrate in '87, advanced to lead worker in 1995, and now she's a senior magistrate handling our DUIs, which we didn't have many of those for you, but I know that we do. She's a very dedicated employee, and we just are grateful for her service. And gosh, to put 35 years in and come and enjoy your work each and every day and love it, we couldn't ask more out of you, and I thank you for all that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations, and thank you to each of the 2 employees we recognized tonight. We'd like to invite Ms. Tina Bolt up now. I understand she has a financial report for us.
So before you, you have the June financials. This is the 9th month of our fiscal year. So you can see that we're getting close to coming to a close. We should be, with the 9th month, we should be at 75% of our budget. Looking at our total revenues, you can see that that is coming in a little bit higher, as we mentioned last month, and it continues to track about the same difference each month. So we are at 86.1% of receiving all of our budget at this point. Total expenditures are below the 75% and are at 65.4%. And then other sources and uses is basically transfer ins and outs, and that's at 33.5%, which gives us a net change in fund balance of $34.8 million. If we were to close the books at the end of July, we would add that amount to our fund balance, giving us $117 million in our fund balance. So doing a comparison of our budget to actual, you can see that this is just a breakdown of some of our revenues, our sales tax and use tax, and then our other taxes, and then licenses and permits are the biggest portion of some of the revenue that we bring in, and those are again tracking above 75%. We've almost met our what we predicted on other taxes and licenses and permits, and of course we have met it on fines and forfeitures. But again, I think that comes in with, we're now full steam in court where we weren't in the last couple of years. And then doing a comparison from June of 2021 to June of this year of just what we brought in on taxes, we are continuing to track even higher than we did from last year, what we brought in, a $3.9 million on general sales tax, and that's basically our retail sales tax. On some of our larger purchases that affect sales tax, you can see that on casual sales tax, seller's use and consumer use, we are under that, and then SSUT continues to grow. And so that brings us to a net increase from last year of $4,053,000. So again, still tracking better. You have a narrative that I provided you with the financials, and as I've mentioned in the last paragraph, looking at the market trend, we're continuing to see some growth in consumer spending. June saw a little bit more growth than May and April did, but July is definitely seeing a little bit of a drop off. The growth is not what we saw in 2021, but we do still continue to see some spending, and inflation, of course, it has not stopped that spending, but I do predict that in the coming year, as we're working on budget, we are definitely predicting to see some of that downward trend.
Thank you, Ms. Bolt. Any questions for Ms. Bolt about the report? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll now move to our consent agenda, which encompasses items 6 through 14. I would ask, is there any member of the council that would like to remove any items 6 through 14 from the consent to the regular agenda? And for members of the public who may not be familiar with our practice, the consent agenda is presented as items that will be read together by the attorney and voted on as one vote by members of the body. If you are here to speak on behalf of items 6 through 14, if you would let me know, we'll be happy to move that item to the regular agenda and hear from you. Otherwise, there will be no discussion about these items after they are read before we vote. Seeing none, Mr. Corley, please read the consent agenda items.
Yes, sir. Item number 6 is the approval of the minutes from the July 28th, 2022 work session and the August 1st, 2022 regular meeting. Item number 7, Resolution 676522 appoints Jeremy Wright and Jess Johnson to the Hoover Building Code of Appeals Board for the term expiring on August 31st, 2027. Resolution 676622 authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to execute and purchase stop-loss insurance for the city of Hoover, Alabama, with granular insurance and any and all documents necessary for the execution of said insurance. Resolution 676722 authorizes Mayor Brocato to enter into an agreement with the Administrative Director of Courts, Judicial Branch of the State of Alabama. Resolution 676822 authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to enter into an agreement with the Jefferson County Commission in an amount not to exceed $15,000 for the Hoover Senior Center and to execute any and all documents necessary for such agreement. Resolution 676922 authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to enter into an agreement with Placer AI and to execute any and all documents necessary for such agreement. Resolution 677022 authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to enter into an agreement with Axon Enterprises, Inc. for 4 police car camera systems for the Hoover Police Department and to execute any and all documents necessary for such agreement. Resolution 677122 authorizes Mayor Brocato or his designee to enter into an agreement with CGS Vinyl LLC for the purchase of Hoover Police Department vehicle graphics and to execute any and all documents for such agreement. And then Resolution 6772-22 amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2022, as set forth in the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second. Have a motion and second for approval of all items on the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. We'll now move to our regular agenda, beginning with item number 15, resolution number 6773-22. Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes the Birmingham Water Works to install 1 fire hydrant at the intersection of Black Ridge South Boulevard and Martin Brook Circle.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6773-22.
Second. Have a motion and second. I anticipate an abstention by Councilman Murphy. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Ms. Harris, if you would note an abstention on the vote by Councilman Murphy. We have a motion and second for approve of the resolution. Any comments or questions from the body? Any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 16 is resolution number 6774-22. Mr. Corley.
This resolution declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs the abatement of such nuisance pursuant to Alabama law at the following locations: 543 at Vaughn Drive and 896 Alford Avenue.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6774-22.
Second. We have a motion and second for approval. Mr. Martin is here, and it's my understanding, Mr. Martin, there's been no activity since we met Thursday night for work session. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Both of these locations have yet to be addressed over the weekend. The Alford Avenue item is shown in the picture on the overhead. And so, yes, neither one of these have been addressed. The front yard of this one doesn't look too terrible, but the complaint is coming regarding the rear yard, which should be the next slide. Yes, so we would recommend this one be declared a nuisance.
Any questions for Mr. Martin? Any questions or comments from members of the public on this item? We have a motion and a second for approval of the resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Bringing us to item number 17, resolution number 675622. Mr. Corley.
First, Mr. President, let me point out in the last one I read 543 is the address. It's actually 534, which is correct in the resolution. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that clarification.
Item 17, resolution 675622 declares weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs abatement of such nuisance pursuant to Alabama law at the following locations in the city: 1618 Russet Crest Lane, 2337 Tyler Road, and 2406 Gawain Drive.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of resolution number 6756-22.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Martin, any update on these addresses?
Yes, sir. All three of these addresses are also out of compliance with weeds in excess of a foot tall, and they have not been addressed as of this point. They've already been declared a nuisance, and now we move for the abatement.
Very good, and assuming the vote is approved tonight, we will hold a public hearing on August 15th for the abatement of such. Any questions for Mr. Martin from members of the body? Any questions or comments from members of the public? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number, yes, sir.
It says public hearing for August 15th, that's today. Is that right?
Thank you. Okay, that date is right. So is that right, Ms. Harris? Just clarify that's correct. We had a first reading on this at the last meeting? Okay. That constitutes the public hearing. It's okay. We have, thank you, sir. Thank you. So that one is taken care of. So that would abate, we can hire an abatement now, right, Mr. Martin?
That's correct.
Good, put somebody to work. Item number 18, ordinance number 22-2576. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends ordinance number 263 entitled the zoning ordinance of the city of Hoover, Alabama, to rezone property located at 299 Shades Crest Road, as shown on Exhibit A to the ordinance, from E2 Single Family Estate District to RLSF Legacy Single Family District. Public hearing set for August 15th.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance number 22-2576.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This will require a public hearing tonight. We will open that public hearing and ask if there are any questions for Mr. Martin regarding this change in zoning. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Sweeney?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. McClinton?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye, that's 7 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. We'll now have 3 first readings, beginning with item number 19, ordinance number 22-2577. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance authorizes the annexation of property located at 3449 Ridgecrest Drive. Public hearing set for September 6, 2022. Item number 20 is a first reading of ordinance number 676422, or I'm sorry, resolution 676422, which declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance and directs the abatement of such nuisance pursuant to Alabama law at 235 Cambo Drive, Hoover, Alabama. A public hearing is set for September 6, 2022. And ordinance number 22-2578 modifies Chapter 7 Fire Prevention and Protection of the Hoover Municipal Code to prohibit the sale, possession, use, storage, distribution, and manufacturing of pyrotechnics and fireworks in the city of Hoover, Alabama. A public hearing is set for September 6, 2022.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We'll meet again at the September 6th meeting for a second reading, discussion, and potential vote on each of those items. That brings us to the end of our agenda. I would ask if there are members of the body who have